Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keegan and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of Sundown. Now, I'd rather be doing this episode in better circumstances, to be fair. Ever since I last spoke to you, we've really, it's gone downhill, let's be fair. I was so optimistic at the start of the season. New coach, new backroom stuff, new players in. I was all ready to go. And then the Suns decided to do what the Suns do best, and they decided to drop the bundle. And I'd like to say I'm surprised, but I'm really not that surprised. They were pitiful. That is probably one of the worst losses I have ever seen from a Suns team. And that is saying something. I have sat through some absolutely horrendous losses from this team. I really have. And that was the worst I've ever seen. It was absolutely pathetic. And just to give you an idea, Geelong fully, before I get any further into it, Geelong fully deserved to win. They were the better team by a mile and a half. And they just dominated. And so they should. Their team is really good, and they will do well in finals this year. Will they probably? I don't think they'll win the premiership, but I reckon they'll go close to top four. And it's what they deserve. They're such a good club. They're such an amazing club that do everything right. They get the right people in the right spots. They get great players in. And we all thought basically in the late 2008, 2009, 2010. We thought they were all going to fall away. They won a few premierships and was like, oh, that's it. The Geelong team is done. It is now 2018. They've only missed finals once from memory. There could be another one but it doesn't really feel like it. It feels like for that time they've been up the entire time. So what can I say really? That other than that, Geelong is an amazing team, but that does not excuse how putrid the Suns were. How the Suns were absolutely pathetic. The club had done, the backroom staff, the management at the Suns had done an amazing job to build this game up. They'd brought in Amy Shark to do a concert before the game. They'd gotten excitement. They'd advertised the game on the Gold Coast from what I've heard from friends that are there. And it was being built up, and they got nearly 18,000 people there, which is a big, big crowd for how poor the Suns have been. That is a big crowd for them. And they had their time to shine. They could have done anything at all. And what did they do? They wilted and they fell away and they were poor and they were disgusting. And the amount of effort I saw on that field was absolutely horrible. Now, I've been a Suns member pretty much from day dot. There was 1 year I missed out in the middle because I was living in London. But pretty much from day one, I have been a Suns member. And I'm eight years in, and I don't see any sign of it getting any better. Like, it is what it is, and I'll watch this club I'll watch this club forever and a day. But by God, they are frustrating. They are poor. They just don't show any fight. You can tell walking into a game, if it's a big game that means a lot to the club, they're not going to turn up, and they're going to be disappointing and going to be devoid of any sort of effort. So I've got the stats in front of me from the game. And I know we say stats don't tell the whole story, but I reckon these stats too. I'm going to read you the top 5 possession getters and how many possessions they got for their team. Gary Ablett got 37, surprise, surprise, coming back to the club. And you can't, and a side note to Gary Ablett, you can't hate him. Like, as much as a Suns fan, I want to boo him and I want to say, he left us, da-da-da-da-da. He gave his best years to the club and he won Brownlows. You can't say he didn't try. He gave a damn for most of that time. Arguably in the last year, you could probably say his effort and his motivation waned a bit. But by the sounds of it, what was happening in Geelong to do with his family reasons, you can probably understand why his effort and his concentration was probably elsewhere. So you can understand that. But from Gary Ablett, he was amazing. He was an absolutely amazing player, and you can't really deny he played really well. Joel Selwyn with 33, Duncan with 32, Meningola with 30, and Dangerfield with 28. They are the top 5 possession getters. The lowest there is 28. So you can't really say much more than that. And I'll read you the Suns now. Tuke Miller with 27, who always tries hard. He is the next captain of this club, I reckon. He has to be. He goes out there every week, doesn't complain, doesn't bitch, doesn't moan, and he gets on with it. And he is an absolutely amazing player. He's come out of nowhere this season. Last season, I said, I don't know where Tuke Miller's at. But this season, he's come out and he's proved me wrong. 27 touches in a team that got spanked by 80 points is amazing effort. He got 6 frees forward, laid 3 tackles, he kicked a goal. What more could you ask for from a midfielder? A young midfielder too. He's probably played, I think he's played about 50 games. He has been a great pickup for this club, and he is the soul and the heart and soul of that midfield. Swallow's another one who's really good in the heart and soul. He had 23 touches, and while I've seen him play better games, he got in and have a crack, and that's something you can never doubt with Swallow. You can never doubt him having a dig and having a crack in the midfield. So good on Tuke Miller and Swallow, and the third person I'm going to say, Ainsworth, all had passable games. They all had good games. Ainsworth, young player in the midfield for the first time in the past couple of weeks, and he's been good. 20 touches in the guts. He's only going to get better from here. He took 5 marks. 3 tackles, he missed a goal, but can't really ask for anything more out of those 3. Are probably our 3 best midfielders at the moment, and probably Jared Lyons, who missed this week because they said that he needed to find form. I could probably point to 5 other people in this team before Jared Lyons that shouldn't be in this team, and they should be the ones in the need for finding form. But hey, that's just my opinion. Nick Holman, fine. He wasn't amazing. Where that tackling pressure has gone since the start of the season, who knows? He's still got 6 tackles, so he was still the highest tackler on this team. And I will, before the end of this video, I'll read you through the players that didn't lay a single tackle this game. And tackling's not even about skill. It really isn't. This is going to sound really, really arrogant. I am not a very skilled player. I am a pretty poor player of football, but you know what? I know how to lay a tackle. It's not hard. You use your arms, you grab someone, you take them to ground. If you give away a free kick, so be it, but you at least put a bit of physical pressure on. But this Suns team, after the first few weeks, which looked so positive about putting pressure on the opposition, they've fallen to absolute water. So Holman was alright. He laid 6 tackles, he did his job. Harbrow was our 5th. He got 18 touches. So, and I don't even think Harbrow played that well. And I actually, overall, I think Harbrow turns the ball over way too much. And he does it through, sometimes he just misses a kick. There'll be a kick that will just go along the ground, or he'll lay a high tackle. The amount of times I've seen Jared Harbrow lay a high tackle in our defensive 50 is frustrating. It's frustrating as a supporter, it's frustrating to watch. And every time he goes to lay a tackle, I hold my breath. Because I don't know if he's going to go high, if he's going to go low. You think some of these guys would know how to lay a tackle. I think Sean Lemons, who isn't in this team at the moment, hopefully, for our sake, he's back next week. He is seriously the only one, and maybe now Nick Holman, that knows how to lay a solid, hard tackle. They are the 2 players in our team. Say what you want about Lemons. Say that he can't, his disposals poor, or that he makes poor decisions. But you know what? He can lay a tackle. He can put some physical pressure on. He's our best tackler at the club, along with Nick Holman. And I can't wait for him to be back in next week, if he's back in. Because he will lay a tackle. At least he'll put some physical pressure on. So, to give you an idea, so the disposals for Geelong was 37, 33, 32, 30, and 28. They were the top 5. The top 5 for the Suns, 27, 23, 20, 19, and 18. Our top disposal getter didn't get more than their 5th disposal getter, and that's not even counting Geelong's 6th top getter, which was Tom Stewart, who also had 28. So, we got absolutely smashed off the park. And I can't really, if I go further down, I look at the people that didn't get 10 disposals. Sam Day got 9. He's a key forward. I sort of understand. He probably didn't get a lot of service. He kicked a goal, but he's got to do more. Jesse Joyce plays in the back pocket. I'm not going to worry about that. Aaron Hall got injured. He got injured. When did he get injured? Halfway through the second quarter? At that point, he only had 5 touches. So he wasn't having a mad impact on the game. As soon as it gets hard, he goes to absolute water. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Heron got 8 touches. for a whole game, he needs to go back to the twos. I'm glad he's come in. He's had a go, and he's got a few games under his belt, and he's had a crack. But he now needs to go back to the twos. And why we don't drop him and we drop Lyons is ridiculous. I understand that Heron plays in the forward line and Lyons plays in the midfield, but you can figure yourself something else out. I've seen Swallow play in the forward line before. I've seen Ainsworth play. He's definitely played in the forward line before. You could put one of them forward and then put Lyons in, but I don't know why Heron can get a run and not Lyons or Barlow for that matter. It's absolutely bewildering. And then you've got Aaron Young, who also got 6 touches. He also got injured, but still, no, he's been a real disappointment. I think it was the first game against North Melbourne in Cairns where it was wet. He played really well. He got 28 touches, and I was like, great, we've got a really good player for cheap into the club. But now, 11 rounds in, I don't know. I don't think he's I'd love to be proved wrong. I really would love to be proved wrong. And I'm never going to be looking to slag anyone off that didn't need it. But geez, we got a lot of passengers on our team. We've got so many passengers on our team. And there are so many, and we've got another tough game coming. We've got GWS, and probably a couple of weeks ago, while GWS were on a bit of a losing streak and they weren't winning games, I would have been like, awesome, we're going to get them at a good time. And I reckon we could do something against them. But now I'm not so sure. Now I feel we're going to get smashed. It's in Sydney, so I'm already worried as it is. And now Stephen May's he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. Aaron Young could be available this week, and Aaron Hall could be a maybe. I think he's done some tendons in his shoulder or pecs. I'd be very surprised if he played. But there's 3 going out. The 3 coming in, hopefully. Peter Wright hopefully comes in. He needs to come in. Lemons definitely needs to come in, and hopefully Lyons comes in. And then that's just replacing the injuries, if that was the case. I reckon you can also put Barlow in. I don't care if we're not competing for finals this year. I don't want to keep getting smashed. I really don't want to keep getting smashed. So I want us to sort it out. I want us to be competitive on the field. If that means one kid doesn't get a game, I don't care. I really don't care. I want to be competitive, and we need these experienced players in. I love Riscatelli, I really do. But how he still gets a game with 11 touches, 3 tackles, I don't know. I don't know how he still gets a game over Barlow and Lyons. It boggles the mind. And I know there's probably a strategy there. I know there's some structural reason why that's the case. But I don't understand. And I haven't got a script at the moment. Usually I write down what I want, points I want to hit along the way. But I'm just going off the cuff at the moment. Sexton's another one. I've never seen a player kick so much into the mark. I've never seen a player kick so much into a mark. He'll take a mark and he'll go and kick it straight away. He'll kick it straight into the man on the mark. I play over in Europe. I play with people that have never played the game before. That is one of the first things you teach a player that has never played the game before, is when you take a mark, you walk back off the mark so you don't kick it into the man on the mark. There are two occasions that definitely stick out on Saturday that he kicked straight into the man on the mark. And that's just so amateur. And just some of the turnovers. I like that we worked on our tackling and our competitiveness. But the fact is, they can't hit a target. None of them can hit a target. Jack Martin is probably, out of all of them, Jack Martin is probably the one I trust the most to hit a target. And even he's been missing them. And I think from memory, I looked at the stats earlier, I think Nick Holman had the best disposal efficiency. Someone that came to the club not known for his disposal efficiency. He came in knowing that his disposal was a bit iffy, but he brought pressure. But he actually hit pretty much all his targets. 81 or 82% disposal efficiency. Really, really good. So I don't know. I'm a bit heartbroken at the moment, to be honest, guys. And I know some of you might be Suns fans. Some of you might not be Suns fans. But that's just the way it is. That's how I feel at the moment. One mention I will make. A player that has played his absolute arse off this season. and that is Rory Thompson. He's been at his best. Him and Tuke Miller have been the two standouts for me this season, and probably Swallow as well, coming back to full fitness. But Thompson has been an absolute rock. And he conceded 3 goals against Hawkins, but to be fair, one of those was a really, really soft free kick. Another one was a free kick given away by another player. I think Ballard tackled him high. So he only really got 1 goal kicked on him at the end of the day. But I think Rory Thompson has been absolutely amazing this season. And if it wasn't for him, we probably would have lost by 100 points. I really do believe that. He has been such a good player in the defence. And I can't argue with him. I think if I was to run an MVP, Suns MVP for me personally, at this point in time, I reckon Rory Thompson would be up towards the top, maybe with Miller and Swallow and Ainsworth. But a couple of other things off the field that we need to worry about. The first thing, I'm going to get to the Tom Lynch thing at the end because I've got a few things to say before I finish off. But the first thing was the crowd. We nearly got 18,000 to a game. I'm pretty happy with that. Like, 18,000 to a Suns game these days is pretty good. And people are saying, oh, AFL on the Gold Coast is dead. It's dying. It never worked. 18,000. And I don't care if half of them were Geelong fans. It still means you're going to get to a crowd to the game every week. It doesn't matter if they're Suns fans. It doesn't matter if they're not Suns fans. There are people through the gate. And I think Tony Cochran said something along the lines of, we need over 15,000 for a game to be profitable for us. Well, we got 17.5, nearly 18,000. So that's a pretty good deal, I would have thought. So the crowd, I can't fault the crowd. They turned up, they have it, and they were there in droves. Whether you're a Geelong supporter or the Sun supporter, I'm glad to see people going to football on the Gold Coast because the audience, and they are there. It's just we need to start showing a bit more better performances to get it through. And then the last thing I want to talk about is Tom Lynch. Now, it's hard because I really do like Tom and I really want him to stay. But if we keep putting up performances like that, I don't see how he stays, honestly. And to be fair, the talk that we're going to pay him $2 million, it kind of irks me. Now, he's supposed to be the captain of the club. He's supposed to be a leader. And I understand he might still be slightly injured. And that's fair enough. But he kicks 1 goal 3. Now, if I'm a captain of a club, I'm making sure that I kick 3 goals 1 instead. Now, one of them was probably a pretty hard shot from memory. It was like a 55-metre shot from... So maybe that one's a bit... You can give him a bit of slack for that. But I'd be preferring 3 goals 1 to 1 goal 3 for Tom Lynch. And I don't feel comfortable with the club paying him $2 million a year to keep him. And now people will say, oh, if he leaves, then everyone leaves. I don't necessarily buy that. He's a co-captain. He's not the captain. But you've still got Stephen May, who probably, by the time next year, if we keep playing less, he'll probably leave as well. And I understand that it's going to be a rotating door, but I don't feel comfortable paying Tom Lynch $2 million because I think he's had that one super season where he absolutely dominated. He was an All-Australian, but I haven't seen him do much else since. Now, there could be injury to excuse that, but that's just my opinion. Like, he's got 11 weeks to prove me wrong. He's got 11 weeks to prove to me that he's worth $1.52 million. Or prove it, at least if he's going to leave, at least prove it to someone else outside the club he's worth that money. So, I don't know. Will he play this week? He probably will play this week. But, yeah. If he was to leave, I would honestly be happy with pick 5. I say pick 5. If we were not to move on the ladder, and it doesn't look like we will, we've got a game and a half in front of St Kilda, and I think we're a game behind the Bulldogs, so we might go up a few more spots. But at the moment, we're 4th from the bottom, meaning if we'd get pick 4, and then all likelihood our free agency compensation would be pick 5. So if we were to get pick 5 out of that, I would probably take it. Like, there are a lot of Suns fans that will be like, no, we've got to take all the picks from someone else for him. But I reckon you go heavy, you go hard for those top 5, especially this draft. If you've got 2 picks in the top 5, they are 2 high quality youngsters coming through. And when they're hitting their best in 2 years, that's when we'll probably be hitting our 2-3 years. That's when we're probably hitting our best. So I reckon, in my opinion, now people are going to disagree, and that is fine. But in my opinion, if Tom was to say he wanted to leave and he left as a free agent, I would take pick 5 as compensation. Not that, to be fair, I don't agree with free agency compensation. I think it's an absolute. I don't like it. But if it's there, I'd rather the Suns use it to their advantage than not. So I would take that pick 5. And there are a whole other things to do with trading and list management that I don't agree with, such as like the floor of the salary cap. I don't get how an elite player at a Richmond or a Geelong or what's another good team at the moment? It's hard to think. Melbourne. I don't believe that those players should be paid the same as players at a low club who are taking up a lot of the salary cap, even though they're nowhere near as good and they don't perform as well as the players at the top of the ladder. I'd get rid of the salary cap floor, to be honest. Now, there's probably 1,000 reasons why the AFLPA won't let that happen, but that's just my opinion. I don't think there should be one there. I think it would also allow bottom clubs to save the salary cap space and use it on players that A, want to come to the club, and B, who are strong performers who will change the club and turn the club around. I reckon that's what the free agency money, or that's what the list money should be used for, not for making sure you hit a salary cap floor by playing, for lack of a better term, spuds, to not perform to the levels that other people are performing for that same wage. But that's just me. That's just my opinion on it. So be it. If there's probably someone can come and tell me why there's a salary cap floor, do let me know, because I'd be really interested to see what the reason is. Anyway, guys, that's my rant on the Suns. It's been nearly 22-minute rant, so I hope you've had time to listen to it. If you do agree with that, let me in the comments below. How do you think the Suns? What do you think the Suns are going to do this trade period? Because let's be fair, as a Suns supporter, my favourite time of the year is the trade period, because it's when we get a slight bit of hope before it gets ripped away from us. So that's my favourite time of the period. What do you think the Suns will do this coming trade period? Who do you think they should be looking at as far as trade targets go? There's a couple of talks of Wallace not coming to but they're players that could be available coming the end of the season. So they could be players that the Suns might look at. But the first thing is we need to get everything else. We need to sort out. The back of the house is now sorted. We've got great facilities. We've got a good CEO. We've got a great coach. I believe Stewie Jew is a great coach. We've just got to get the on-field stuff sorted. But anyway, that's my rant. I hope you enjoyed, guys. Do leave a comment below. Make sure to like this video. Subscribe so you miss any of the videos on this channel. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later.